Good evening. We're starting today Perek Lametes. So Perek Lametes continues on the theme of the previous prakim, which is talking about the importance of kavanas mitzvah, the importance of a kavana when doing a mitzvah, the importance of avas Hashem and yiras Hashem, and we started on this conversation in last Perek in a more general way, and we will continue and talk more specifically because there are different levels of kavana. And the different levels of kavana have a different impact on a mitzvah. So last week we already started talking, last lesson we already started talking about two general types of kavana. Remember we spoke about the level of medaber and the level of chai. That there's a love and fear, there's ava v'yira, there's a kavana which comes from, which is al pi seichel. It's a kavana which comes when a person is mizboinen and meditates into the greatness of Hashem, and that is like, he says that is on the level of midaber, on the level of a human being. And then he says that there is someone whose ava is ava tivis, it's a natural love, and that ava, the ava tivis, is like the level of a chai. So we're going to expand on that a little, and this is going to be a fascinating perek. We're going to take a detour. We're going to be talking in this perek about a lot of different things, about malachim, and about the schar of neshamis and Gan Eden. But ultimately, we're going to come back to our point, and this is all going to relate to the different madregas of kavanas ha-mitzvah, and how mitzvahs have different levels depending on the kavana which is present when doing that mitzvah. So we are going to start directly where we left off last week, where we left off last perek. We said that there are two different types of kavana. There's one type of kavana, which is, even though kavana, we're talking about the kavana salev, the kavana of the heart, talking about the love of Hashem and yiras Hashem, but there's one type of kavana, which is based on hisboinenus, which is based on meditation. And there's another type of kavana, which is natural. And the Alter Rebbe said over there that the natural kavana, the natural feeling that a yid has towards Hashem, what's called avativis, when a person taps into this avativis, that's on the level of chai. That's like the level of an animal, because animals, they're instinctive, they're impulsive. They run based on their impulses, their instincts, their emotions, not based on their seichel and their bechira. In Perek Lametes, the Alter Rebbe is going to begin and is going to say, Mipnei zeh gamkein, and for this reason also, Nikroim hamalachim b'shem chayis u'behemas. Malachim are also called chayis, we know. Va'ifanim v'chayis hakodesh. There are malachim that are called chayis, wild animals, and they're also referred to as specific behemas. Kediksiv, as the pasuk says, by the Merkava, as it's described in Yecheskel. So the pasuk says, "Upnei aryeh el hayamin." This is describing the various malachim, which Yecheskel saw in the entourage of the Merkava, which was carrying the Kisei HaKaved. So he says over there, Pnei Aryeh Lamin, that on the right side of these images, of these malachim, had the face of a lion. And obviously we're not talking physical features over here, because they're talking about, but there was something spiritual in which they resembled a lion. Upnei Sher Mahasmoil, and on the left side, there was the image, the figure, the face of an ox. So why are malachim referred to as lions and oxes and behemoths and chayas? Lefi she'einam bali bechira, because malachim too also they lack bechira. V'yirasam va'avasam hitivis lahem. The love and the fear that they have for Hashem is natural to them. Kameshakasav b'rayim mehemna parshas Pinchas, as it says in Rayim Mehemna, which is a part of the Zohar in Parshas Pinchas. So that's very interesting. You have malachim, although that their avas Hashem and yiras Hashem is so much greater and so much superior to ours. You know, we read about it in the morning, the description and davening, that oimdim be'ema v'oimrim be'yira, this tremendous the simcha and this tremendous fear and this tremendous ava, which obviously human beings can't. We don't hold a candle to the ava v'yira, the feelings that the malachim have towards Hashem. So they're much greater than us, but they're called chayis, they're called animals. And then on the other hand, beneath us, there's the animals, there's the chayis, there's the physical animals. One is higher than us, one is lower than us. The common denominator between the both of them is that they don't have bechira, and that whatever they do is instinctive and impulsive. It is their natural, but they do what is natural to them. So animals do whatever is natural to them. Every animal has its own nature. And malachim also, their emotions that they have towards Hashem also are natural to them, which is why they share the same name.
Why was he greater then?
Sorry?
Why the malachim are greater than the humans? If they're not Bali Bechira.
They're not.
They're not greater.
No, but they're much higher than us.
What do you mean by that?
Your Shemayim is higher, but it doesn't make them greater.
Higher means that they have a higher degree of Avas Hashem, a higher degree of Yiras Hashem. They are more spiritual than us. They don't have Yetzer Haras. Greater means in terms of value. Who's more valuable? We're more valuable. But they're definitely much higher than we are. So the human being is in the middle. When we act like a behemoth, we act like a chaya, so we're worse than a chaya. Why? Because even though we're acting the same thing as a chaya, but the chaya doesn't have free choice, it doesn't have bechira chavshis. We're choosing to act that way. And when we choose to act like a malach, like an angel, we're higher than a malach. Why? Because once again, it is by our free choice, as opposed to the malach, which doesn't have free choice, and it does so instinctively, it doesn't have a choice whether to do so or not. And therefore, 5 lines from the top of the Peirik, and therefore, Ma'alas HaTzadikim Gedola Maham. Therefore, tzaddikim are greater than malachim. And why is that? Because if you remember our last Peirik, we said that there is a type of kavanah which is based on seichel, which is based on hisbaininus, which is based on bechira. So a yid who acts like a tzaddik, a yid who acts in a holy way, and has a ava v'yira for Hashem, has kavanah based on his or her own seichel and his or her own bechira, their own free choice, they're greater than the malachim. It's greater than a malach. The Alter Rebbe here, the point here isn't, the Alter Rebbe isn't trying to tell us here about malachim. They say the Rebbe once said that there was someone who went into the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he asked him 2 questions. One question was something had to do with Avodas HaMalachim, and the other question had to do with a Ma'aseh B'Poel, something, a question about a certain area in Avodas Hashem. So the Frierdiker Rebbe answered him about the Avodas Hashem, and he didn't answer him about the Malach, about his question about the Malachim, and he said, you're fine without that. You'll manage without the answer to that question. The same thing over here, Tanya is not here to fascinate us with malachim. It's trying to tell us, number one, you want to know how important and how great and how valuable your avodah is. If your avodah is with ava v'yira sichlis, if your avodah is ava v'yira with kavanah, which comes from your seichel, you're greater than a malach. And let's say you're a yid and you're serving Hashem with ava v'yira, which you're tapping into your ava v'yira tivis, into your natural love and fear. In case you're thinking that that's a low madrega, you should know that's the madrega of the malachim. So if the malachim are great, then your avodah also is great. So either way, by the fact that we're referencing the malachim over here, that tells us just how great our avodah is if and when we're doing it with a kavanah. If we're doing it with a kavanah which comes from seichel, then we're higher than the malachim. And if we do the kavanah, which is tapping into the avativis, then at the very least we're on the same level as the malachim. Now before we go further, I ask you, there are some papers over here in the middle of the table. If everyone here can grab a sheet, and if you're watching this online, so there should be a link underneath the screen where you can download this source sheet, which we're going to be using today. Because there are a lot of different concepts that will be explained in this Peirik, and we put together many of the concepts on this sheet, and we will have to update the sheet. Mir Hashem, I don't know if it's next week or in 2 weeks from now, because there's going to be more concepts to add on, but I didn't want to overload the sheet for this week, so I kept it right now as it is, but this sheet will be updated as we go along in this Peirik, Be'ezras Hashem. As we've discussed many times, so we're going to give a little akdama, and then we're going to see how this plays out in the Peirik. As we've discussed many times, so many things in this world, so many of the major things in this world subdivide into 4. Right, we've spoken about there's the 4 seasons, although We're beginning to wonder what happened to spring this year, but officially there are 4 seasons, and they're the 4 directions. It seems, why are the 4 directions? Well, obviously, what are there going to be? 7 directions? Yeah, when Hashem created the world, it could have been 7. It didn't have to be 4. Hashem wasn't limited by that. And then, of course, there's Dimim Tzemei Chaim Medaber, as we spoke last week, and then there's Eish, Ruach, Mayim, and Afar. Many, many different levels of 4. And the reason why is because the source of creation is Hashem's name. The name, the Shem HaMefeirish, which is the Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is the 4 letters, and every single one of those letters has a certain energy in it, a creative energy in it, and it creates creations that are in line with the energy within that letter. Where does it start from? It starts from that the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the 4 letters of Hashem's name, they represent the 10 spheres. The 10 spheres are included in the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And that we have over here, if you look in your paper, on the column on the right side. So you have there, it says there, Ois Shal Shem Havaya, the letter of the name of Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So you have the 4 letters over there, and they're all represented by spheres. Okay? So the Yud of Shem Havaya is Spheras HaChachma, is Hashem's Chachma. We are right now going to do just the big letters. We're going to ignore the small letters underneath it for now. These are ideas, the concepts that will come up as we continue in the Perek. What is Chachma? Chachma is the original flash of inspiration. Chachma is as that which you receive and that which you accept, and it comes in a very, very seminal flash, and therefore it's represented by the Yud, because the Yud is a dot. A Yud has no length, it has no breadth, it's a dot, and that represents Chachma. Also, as we know, as we learned in previous prakim, that Chachma represents the idea of Bittul, as we have underneath over here. Koyach Ma and Bittul, the words Chachma can be transposed to be Koyach Ma, which means the Koyach of Ma, what is it, of Bittul, and therefore it's represented by the Yud, which is the smallest letter that there is. It's just a dot, which represents the idea of Bittul. The Hey represents Bina. This is the first Hey of Hashem's name, represents Bina, because the Bina, what it does is it takes the Yud and it stretches it out this way and that way, and that is the Bina. Bina gives length and breadth to the idea Chachma. Chachma is the original, the original flash of inspiration which a person receives, and afterwards when you contemplate that idea, you think about it and you meditate upon it, you develop the idea, you build upon it, and that is Bina. The word Bina is related to the word to be boina, to build. In fact, it says, the pasuk says, Vayivan Hashem Esat Seila, about Chava. So that the Gemara says in that Mesachtas Nida, the Vayivan, from there we know that Bina Yisera Nitna Be'isha, from the word Vayivan. So we see that the word Vayivan, which is to build, is related to the word Bina. Bina means building upon and creating an entire structure out of that original idea, that original flesh, which is the Hey. We'll get there in the Perek later on. The Vav of Hashem's name represents the 6 midas: Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Chod, and Yesod. The connection to the Vav is firstly because Vav is 6, and they're the 6 midas. But moreover, Vav is a line, bringing it down. Because as we know, Seichel, until now we were talking about Chachma and Bina. Chachma and Bina are within oneself. Chachma and Bina are me within myself, before other people or things come into the equation. Midos are me extending myself outwards. My feelings towards things outside of me, represented by a Vav, which is Hashem's Midos, are him leaving himself and coming down. It's a Hamshacha, to relate to the world and have feelings for the world. And the last Hey is Malchus. Last Hey is Malchus because Malchus is Dibur, and Dibur is represented by a Hey. First of all, because every single thing that you say, every word you say begins with a Hey. A Hey is just a exhaling ear is a Hey, and then all the other letters are giving form to that ear which comes out with the Hey sound. That's number one. And also because there's what's called Hey Meitzoi Sapa. There are 5 different types of sounds that we can make. You know, there's Achem, Agar, and the letters Aleph, Ches, Hey, and Ayin, they originate from the throat. and there's bumf, beis, and vav, and mem, and pei. They need the lips. Some letters come from the lips, some come from the throat, some come from the palate, some come from the teeth, and some come from the tongue. So that's 5. So therefore, malchus, which is dibur, is represented by hey. Okay.
You don't got 10 spheres yet.
Why is Malchus different?
6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9. Who's the other one?
That's a very, very. I'll get to that in a second. First, it's Patzach Aliyah, Malchus Peh. There steht. Malchus is the mouth. Malchus is the mouth, because Malchus is just like the mouth expresses that which is within. Dibur, when a person can't speak, they're not really missing anything. They're missing the ability to relate to others. Hashem's Malchus ain't Melech B'layam. Malchus is him being the king over others, is relating to the Olam, is creating the worlds and relating to the worlds, and that's represented by Dibur.
Dibur is the best way of connection.
Dibur is connection. That's the essence of what Dibur is, communication. So the Malchus is Hashem's communication with the worlds, creation of the worlds, communication, and that's why it's connected to Dibur. You're right. There are only 9 spheres over here.
What happened to the temple?
Which one is missing? I want to figure out which of the spheres are missing over here. Das, very good. Das is missing. What? This is due to a Kabbalistic concept, which we're not going to go into too strongly over here. I don't know if you've ever seen maybe a chart representing the spheres, and there is no Das there, but there's only Keser over there.
Okay, so
Because there are two. There's what's called Das Elyon and Das Tachten. Keser is called Das Elyon. And there's a rule in Kabbalah, b'makim sha'keser nimna ein hadas nimna, and b'makim sha'das nimna ein hakeser nimna, which means there's always 10, and we never count keser and das. Either we count keser or we count das, for reasons which are way beyond what we're going to talk about in class today. And that's why sometimes you see Chabad, and sometimes you'll see, I don't know if you ever heard Kachab. Kachab is keser, chachma, and bina. The Yud of Chachma, according to Kabbalah, the koitze shel yud, which means that little thing that goes up on the tip of the yud, is keser. So therefore, since keser is represented in the yud ke vav ke, in that koitz, it's called koitze shel yud, in that point of the yud. So therefore, das isn't counted. That's the word those are the words of the answer. To understand the answer that will take a whole 2 classes, but that's the kuda. But you're correct in pointing out that das isn't mentioned here.
we would associate with what letter of the Yud K Vav K Das in Kesser?
It's not there. It would be associated with the yud because it's a type of das. It's a type of das.
It's a Chachma Das and Bina.
What?
Type of chachma.
No, because Keser is also Das. Keser is called Das Elyon. The Das which is under Bina is called Das Tachten. When Das Elyon is counted, we don't count Das Tachten. So
How do you define Das?
we're not going there now.
Oh,
We're not going there now. Now, these 4 letters of Hashem's name, the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, they also represent the 4 worlds, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. Which means that the Yud of Hashem's name is present in and pervades the world of Atzilus. The Hey of Hashem's name is, pervades the world of Bria. The Vav, the world of Yitzira, and the Hey, the world of Asiya. Now we have to understand that when we say there are many different things that all originate in the Yud Kei Vav Kei, everything that originates from the Yud is related to each other. So for example,
how does Atzilus relate to the Yud?
that's what we're going to have to figure out. So Atzilus and Chachma, because we said Chachma comes from the Yud, and let's say fire, which is the highest of the Eish Maim Ruach Afar, and the Medaber of Daimim Tzumei, these are all related to each other because all of them originate in the same place. So when we're saying that the Yud is in Atzilus and the Hey is in the Bria, the Vav is in Yitzir and the Hey in Asiya, what we mean to say is that Hashem's name is really in the world of Atzilus. When we say the Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, that we're talking about in the world of Atzilus, because the world of Atzilus is a world which is united with Hashem. As discussed on previous occasions, the world of Bria and down is not anymore Hashem. That's something which is separate from Hashem. Which is why it's called Bria. Bria means creation. As opposed to the world of Atzilus, that is oneness with Hashem. So the Yud Kei Vav Kei, when we say the Yud is Chachma, we mean the Chachma of Atzilus. When we say that the Hey of Hashem's name is Bina, we mean Bina of Atzilus. When we say the Vav of Hashem's name is the 6 Midas, we're talking about the Midas of Atzilus. And the same thing is with the Hey of Hashem's name, which is Malchus of Atzilus. Now, as we know from Sfira So'emer, that there's Chesed and Gevura and Tiferes, but then there's Chesed Sheba Chesed and Gevura Sheba Chesed and Tiferes Sheba Chesed, right? The world of Atzilus is the world of Yud. Even though that there's the Yud Kei Vav Kei in Atzilus, because Atzilus has Chachma Bina Das has everything in it and the Midas, but the world of Atzilus is the world of Yud. Which means that Chachma is the dominant sphera in Atzilus. Everything else is within Chachma. It's almost as if Chesed Sheba Atzilus is within Chachma. And why is that? Because what is Chachma? Chachma, as we said earlier, is Bittul. Is Bittul to Hashem. What is Atzilus? Atzilus is Bittul to Hashem. The whole world of Atzilus is a world of Chachma. It's a world of complete Bittul to Hashem and oneness with Hashem. The Hey of Atzilus, which is the Bina, where does it primarily express itself? The Hey of Atzilus, the Hey of Hashem's name, in the world of Bria. In other words, the Bina of Atzilus, where is its primary manifestation? In the world of Bria, because the world of Bria is a world dominated by Bina. It's a world dominated by intellect.
It's like the word Bina.
Sorry?
That's what you're building. Bina.
That's correct.
Bria, you're creating.
The Vav, which means the Midas of Atzilus, where are they primarily manifest? In the world of Yitzira. And Malchus of Atzilus, where is it primarily manifest? In the world of Asiya, which is dominated by Malchus. So that's what we have over here, the worlds. So again, you have the Yud of Hashem's name is Chachma, and that's dominant in Atzilus. The Hey of Hashem's name is Bina, and that's dominant in the world of Bria. The Vav of Hashem's name is the 6 Midas, which is dominant in the world of Yitzira, and the Hey of Hashem's name is Malchus, which is dominant in the world of Asiya.
What's the difference between Bria and Yitzira? They're both like creation. Bria is like you're building something. You're creating something. Yitzira, what is that supposed to mean?
Yitzira is formation.
It's a form of Bria then.
No, Yitzira is taking it further.
How?
Bria is when something is created, but you can have a created being who doesn't really have form. It's more of abstract. Yitzira is when it already takes on a very definitive form. And the same thing is also in terms of the worlds as they go lower and lower. Higher than Bria, there's nothing, because everything is Hashem, everything is Batal. Bria is the first place where there's yesh, there's something over there. But it's not so defined. The identity isn't so defined. Its separateness from Hashem, it's finite, but its identity from Hashem is not as defined. And the lower you go down to the worlds, the more the identity and the self-definition is defined. We have enough to now go to the Perek, and we'll be going back and forth to this page as we go along. We said before.
What do you mean by the Yud Kei Vav Kei is in Atzilus?
Because Yud Kei Vav Kei is Hashem's name. Hashem, the name of Hashem is in Atzilus, not in anywhere else. But the Hey of Hashem's name, for example, Bina of Atzilus, where is that Meir, and where is it dominant? It's dominant in the Elam Habriya.
What do you mean by Hashem's name is in Atzilus?
Hashem's name means that it's Hashem.
Nothing there, but
It's an expression of Hashem. The world of Bria is not an expression of Hashem. The world of Atzilus is an expression of Hashem. So Hashem's name is in Atzilus. Hashem's name is a reference to the Midas of Atzilus. All of Hashem's names. You have the Shiva, Shemesh, Ednem, Chakim. They're all referring to Hashem's Midas of Atzilus. Every name represents a certain attribute of Hashem. However, in Atzilus itself, within Hashem's name, There are different aspects. There's the Chachman, then there's the Binan, then there's the Midas. Within Atzilus, what is dominant? Over there, it's all Alakus, the Bittul is dominant. In Bria, what is Meir over there? Although it's a world which already is not Alakus, but which Alakus is Meir in Bria? Which part of Atzilus is Meir and dominates the world of Bria? Is the Hey of Hashem's name, which is the Bina of Atzilus. Where does the world of Yitzira get its Chayis from? From the Vav of Hashem's name, from the Midas of Hashem. Is that clear?
What's the literal translation of Atzilus?
An emanation.
Atzilus.
Atzilus means an emanation.
That's what it means?
Yeah, you have it in the Torah. Vayatzel alav min haruach. That when Moshe, he emanated from his spirit unto Yeshua. Atzilus is an emanation from Hashem. An emanation is not something separate.
Well, what's the definition of an emanation?
Like candle emits light.
What?
Like a candle emits light.
Yeah.
So the light is not something separate. It's not like, they don't say the candle creates light. The candle emits light. There's a big difference, because creation implies something outside of me, something other than me and something different than me. An emanation is the flow of myself. The extension of myself.
But it's that definable. Is that a finite thing? That's
In Atzilus, it's finite. It's defined as Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Choy, Yisod.
so finite. In other words, it takes something that's infinite, and you're able to break it down to something of finite quantity.
The greatness of Atzilus. Atzilus is the one place where you have godliness, Hashem, in finite form.
Oh, now I hear it. Because God really is infinite.
Well, it's
you have
higher than
no way relating
Atzilus.
to something infinite. You can't see.
Hashem is not. Hashem really is not infinite. Hashem really is beyond infinite.
Infinite means to Ein Sof.
But that's a limitation on Hashem. That's not the Sefer called Avodas HaKodesh
Yeah.
by a big Mekubal, and he says that you can't say that Hashem is only Bligvul, because then you're taking away from Hashem's completeness, His Shleimus. And Hashem can't be limited. You can't say He's Bligvul. And therefore, just like Hashem has the ability to be Bligvul, He has the ability to be Gvul. So His ability to be Bligvul is higher than Atzilus. And His ability to be Gvul is in the world of Atzilus. So higher than Atzilus is Hashem as He expresses Himself in Bligvul. In Atzilus is Hashem as He expresses Himself in Gvul. And lower than Atzilus is Bria. That's creation. That's something other than Hashem already. There's something which has already, when we say something other than Hashem, obviously we mean in its own perception. Nothing is really other than Hashem. But beneath the world of Atzilus, the first time where you have entities that consider themselves to be something other than Hashem. They have a feeling of ego, a feeling of self. That begins in the world of Bria. Okay, so earlier we said that the Malachim serve Hashem with Midas, primarily with Midas. And that's why they're called Chayis. They're animals. Why? Because they're instinctive. They're emotional. They act according to their natural self, just like animals do over here in this world. Malachim who serve Hashem, tzaddikim. When we say tzaddikim, we don't mean the big rebbes to exclude us, but those yidden who serve Hashem with the ava v'yira sichlis, in other words, they develop a love for Hashem by contemplating Hashem's greatness. They're higher than the malachim, because the malachim are only tivis. It's natural. How do we see that? So he says, because Kimadir Nisham, 5 lines in the bottom of page 102. Kimadir Nisham es tzaddikim. When a tzaddik passes away, where is his neshama? Hu ba'elam abriya, as in the world of Bria. Umadar hamalachim is ba'elam yitzira. Whereas malachim are in the world of Yitzira.
They die too.
Malachim don't die. I'm saying
They die.
we are malachim always.
Mother's the dwelling.
Mother's the dwelling, yeah.
The dwelling.
So the mother, the dwelling of the Neshamas HaTzaddikim after they pass on is in the world of Bria.
It's higher than.
Which is higher. Mother HaMalachim, what's the dwelling place of the Malachim is in Olam HaYitzira. Says the Alter Rebbe in a footnote, V'hainu Bistar Malachim. This is in regular Malachim. The average Malach. Aval yesh malachim al yoinim ba'ilm habriya. There are higher malachim in the world of Bria. Sha'avidasam b'dechilu u'rechimu sichliim. Why are they in the world of Bria? So as the Alter Rebbe is going to develop in a moment, we just explained that what divides, what separates, differentiates the world of Yitzira from the world of Bria. That the world of Bria is the world of Moichin, of Das, of Bina. The world of Yitzira is the world of Midas. That's why the Malachim will serve Hashem with Midas. They're in the world of Yetzirah. A Yid who serves Hashem with Seichel and contemplates the greatness of Hashem, and through that creates. So that the neshama of that Yid, where's the neshama of that Yid go? To the world of Bria. Says the Alter Rebbe, there is an exception. There are some Malachim that are in the world of Bria. Why? Because those are Malachim who also serve Hashem with Dechilu Rechimu, with fear and love, Sichliim. In other words, these are Malachim that are the more intellectual Malachim. As explained in Rai Mehemna, there are two levels in Chayis HaKodesh. There's Tiviyim, Vesichliim, those who serve Hashem with natural love, and those who are they delve more into the intellect. As explained in Eitz Chaim. Now this taka, if you look over here on the page, so the next column over here, you have Malachim. I know we didn't yet explain all the different terms in the previous columns, but let's keep on going. So let's skip by the Hay. So the world of Bria, who's in the world of Bria? Malachim al Yonim, the very high Malachim. Elsewhere in Chassidus, these very high Malachim are identified as called Srafim. Srafim are higher than Chayis HaKodesh.
Chayis HaKodesh, that's in Yitzirah.
Chayis HaKodesh is in Yitzirah. And that's as we'll see soon.
Why do you call them Srafim? Like Srafim?
Srafim is because the higher the world, the more bittul there is. So Srafim means they're completely like burnt up, consumed with bittul to Hashem.
And you call them Srafim.
And 1 second. And then in the lower level, in Yitzirah, you have the Chayis HaKodesh. And as we'll see soon, that's where Machna Mechala, Machna Gabriel, all the Malachim, it's brought down the hundreds of thousands of Malachim that are in the camp of Mechal, the camp of Gabriel. That's in the world of Yitzirah. How about in Atzilus? In Atzilus, there are no Malachim.
No?
No, that's what it says. You see on top, there's a Lashon, this is in the Akdama to Pri Eitz Chaim, and also it's brought down in the Pardes, which is earlier. Mi nosan malach noitzer b'Atzilus. Where's there a Malach in Atzilus? There can't be a Malach in Atzilus. Why can't there be a Malach in Atzilus? What? Because a Malach is a Nivra, it's a creation.
It's a creation.
So the highest Malachim can be in Elam Habriya. But you can't have a nivra. That's what it means. You can't have a nivra. Here you use the word noitzer because most malachim are noitzer. But you can't have a nivra. You can't have a malach in Atzilus. Atzilus is Elikus.
So who lives over? Who's there?
Who's in Atzilus?
Yeah.
Elikus is in Atzilus.
There's nobody else.
Nobody else. As we go on the Perek, we'll find out. We'll find out.
The malachim hasichliim, how they differ from humans? They have chibra already.
No, they don't have bechira.
How can you have sex?
So I want to get there in a second. First of all, just want to point out that if you look in davening, so you talk over there about the malachim. They say kadesh, kadesh, kadesh. And then what's the next thing? Vayifanim v'chayes hakodesh berash gadol misnasim. They pick the Ifanim, Mechayis HaKodesh, those are the lower angels. Misnasim, they lift themselves up, L'umas HaShrafim, to the level of the Shrafim who beforehand said, Kadesh, Kadesh, Kadesh. And they say, Baruch Kvoid Hashem Mkoimai. So Chassidus explained, the Shrafim, they understand. The Shrafim are much higher than the Chayis. And therefore the Srafim, because they understand exactly what their source is and where they come from, they contemplate it. So they say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Hashem. They understand how Hashem is completely removed. They understand the three levels of Hashem's removal. That's not the right word. Hashem's exaltedness over them. And they're very calm, they're very relaxed, the Srafim, because intellectuals are cold. You ever bump into an intellectual? They're cold people. And then it's a Vayifanim v'chayes hakodesh, which is the lower level of Malachim. They're not so brilliant. They don't understand, but they feel berash gadol. That's why by them everything is with a tremendous tumult, because tumult, a tremendous that comes from midas, that's where they are. They're the world of Yitzirah. So berash gadol, they lift themselves up to where the Srafim are, and the Umasam facing them, Meshapchim, they praise Va'imrim, and they say Baruch Kavoid Hashem Mkoimei. Let Hashem be blessed, wherever He is. We don't know where He is because we don't understand. As opposed to the Srafim who have an understanding, so they have everything figured out. The Chayis, and the lower level, they're the Midas. So by them, everything is much more loud and everything is much more excited and they're much more animated, and they're praising Hashem wherever and whoever and however.
Only the Srafim say Kadosh Kadosh? The little one doesn't say Kadosh Kadosh.
No, they say Baruch Kvod Hashem Mekayimeh.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
You asked something before, and I think someone asked something before, and I said 1 second, I'll get to it. I forgot what the question was.
About the about Malachim Hasichliim. How would they differ?
So you notice over here, very good.
Then they have some form, they have rationale, therefore it's a form of Bechira.
So if you notice over here, the Alter Rebbe says, we just said, that there's 2 levels of Chayis HaKodesh, Tiviyim and Sichlim. Inside, the top, in this...
Itself, or what about Shrafim? It doesn't make
It doesn't mention it. He said elsewhere in Chassidus, the Samach Tzedek identifies these higher Malachim as Shrafim. That doesn't say it over here. But over here, he just calls them Malachim El Yonim, very high level of Malachim. But at the end, he says that both the Malachim, whether the Tiviyim and Sichlim, are both Chayis HaKodesh. You see, Sheyashnei Mini Chayis HaKodesh, there are 2 levels. You see where the last line, in the footnote over here, last line,
Footnote, where's the line?
page earlier,
this page.
there you go. Sheyashnei Mini Chayis HaKodesh, there are 2 levels of Chayis, Tiviyim and Sichlim. There are those that they serve Hashem with
instinct,
and those that serve Hashem with Seichel. So we see even those that serve Hashem with Seichel are also called Chayis, which is interesting. Because if they serve Hashem with Seichel, here we're talking about the higher level Malachim, the Srafim. So why we call them Chayis, which Chayis means that they're instinctive.
So how do you make that distinction?
So we have to explain that it means that all Malachim have an instinctive love for Hashem, and because they instinctively love Hashem, they don't have free choice, because their nature is to love Hashem. The difference in the higher Malachim and the lower Malachim is that the lower Malachim, they suffice with that instinctive love for Hashem, and that's their avodah. Whereas the higher Malachim, in addition to their instinctive love, which deprives them of their bechira because that's their instinct, in addition to that, they also engage in understanding Hashem, so therefore they reach a higher level. But that they're still chayis, they still don't have bechira. They still don't have free choice because their natural disposition, which they're programmed to, is to love Hashem. But they take it further and they also try to understand.
If they say that the free choice would go away for a regular Yid, a regular Jewish person, if they would see everything, there'd be no free choice.
Right. 3 lines from the bottom of page 102.
Yeah,
they see everything. And in the higher world,
that's the Malach, they feel it.
3 lines from the bottom of page 102.
What were created to begin with?
And what is the difference between 3 lines from the bottom of page 102? The difference between Yitzira and Bria is in the world of Yitzira Sham. Over there are manifest, and over there is Meir, radiates Midoisav Shal Ein Soif Baruch Hu Levadan. Only the Midos of Hashem. In the world of Yitzira, that's where the 6 Midos of Hashem are dominant. Shehein. And what are those Midos? Avasai Upachtoi V'yirasai. The love of Hashem, the fear of Hashem, Chulu. U'kameshakasu b'tikunim ve'etz chayim, as it says, brought down in Tikkun Yizar and Eitz Chayim. The Shis Sfirim, the 6 Sfiros, in other words, Chesed, Gvura, etc. Mikananin, the word kan is from the word Cain, they nest. They find their nest. The 6 Sfiros of Atzilus, where do they nest? Where do they find expression? B'yitzira. And therefore, and this is the avodah of the malachim. You have to remember the malachim, where are they? In the world of Yitzira. The avodah of the malachim, tamid, constantly, yomam v'layla, day and night, lo yishkoitu. They never stop, they're never quiet. Lamed b'yira v'fachat chv'chulu. They push it, they stand with an incredible fear of Hashem. V'hainu, that is called machne Gavriel. That is all. The Gemara says, I don't remember the exact numbers, the Gemara says Machol has 150,000, a certain amount of number of Malachim in his entourage. And Gavriel also has a certain amount, 187,000, I don't remember the exact numbers. The whole Machna, all the Malachim, the tens and tens of thousands of Malachim that are associated with Gavriel is Malachim Gevura, Gavriel is on the left side. Their Avodah is Yiras Hashem. Shema Shmuel. Then Vavodas Machna Michal, the Avodah of the Malachim associated with Michal, is the opposite. A whole day they sit and they literally the Pashat Gatois with love for Hashem. That's what they're doing a whole day, is marinating in feelings of love for Hashem. But this is also something which differentiates the human being from all malachim, which is that you're all familiar that it says that one malach can't do two shlichusim. One malach can't do two shlichusim. We have this very famous, right, in the when the three malachim came.
Why do they need three?
Yeah, we all take it for granted. A malach can't do more than one shlichus. So how many different things can we do? We're unlimited in what we can do. But a malach can't do more than one thing. Now, a malach can go and overturn the entire sdoim. The entire city, it could overturn it, right? But it can't do more than one thing. A malach can heal Avram from his millah, but can't do something else on the side. How does that make sense?
Why did Hashem send only three? Why didn't he send four malachim?
Okay, that's a detail. It's a good question. But the point that I'm asking on the concept itself. Malachim obviously have an incredible amount of power. Everything, one malach came down and killed the whole Machna Aram, right? The whole, how many, millions of soldiers. But they can't do more than one thing. And we could. But if we understand the nature of a malach, the nature of a human being, it makes sense. We said over here, malachim, from the side of from Gavriel, they're pure gvura. So what do? Yiras Hashem. Malachim on the side of Michal, pure Ava. If they want to have any connection to the other side, you ever Vikara Zel Zevi Amar? You ever what is Vikara Zel Zevi Amar? They call out one to another, or Mekablan Dain Min Dain. They have to receive one from another. Why? Because if they want anything that's not within them, if a malach from Machna Gavriel wants to have epis ashaychis to Ava, it doesn't have it. It has to be Mekablan. It has to be Mekabelit from a malach from the side of Michal or Vikara Zel Zeh. The word kara can also mean to they pull one from another.
The exchange.
So therefore, a malach can do only one thing. What does that mean? If you remember, when we say there's 180,000 malachim of, let's say, of Michal. I don't remember the exact number. What does it mean, 180,000? These are spiritual entities. The Rambam, in the beginning of Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, he says spiritual entities are only separate one from another if they have a different toichin. Things that are spatial, a cup. If I have two cups here, they're the exact same cup. Why is it two cups and not one cup? Because these are 3D and this takes up this space and this takes up this space. Two spiritual concepts are only two concepts and not one if there's something different about them. If they're the same concept, they're one, not two. I know this...
they don't take space.
Because they don't take space, so what differentiates them?
Their specialty.
They have to be a different characteristic. Right?
This one. Oh, now I get it.
It's like, if I'm thinking 2 plus 2 in my head and you're thinking 2 plus 2 in your head, is there 2 plus 2 equals 4? No, it's the same thing. Same thing, there's only 1 2 plus 2 equals 4. As opposed to there's 2 plus 2 equals 4 and 3 plus 3 equals 6. That's two different things because it's a different characteristic. So when we say there's 180,000 malachim, they're not carbon copies one of another, because if they were carbon copies one of another, there'd be one malach, that's all. Because a malach is a concept. So every single malach has a little different nuance of Avas Hashem, a different type of chesed. And every single malach of the Gevurah has a different type of Gevurah. And every single malach is only equipped to do a mission which is perfectly suited to its nature. It doesn't have within it anything else. A human being, when we say that we were created b'tselem alikim, that means that we have chesed, gvura, tferes, natzachod, yisod, malchus, right? And then what do we have? Chesed, sheba chesed, gvura, sheba chesed, and then really, if you want to subdivide it, there's gvura, sheba chesed, sheba tferes, sheba yisod, sheba bina. And that's why we have an unlimited amount of ways to express ourselves, because we have an unlimited amount of potentials within ourselves, and then we have the seichel, the bechira, to choose. We're not bound to one way or another, and we can choose our direction. Malachim, they're unidimensional. They have one dimension, and there's nothing to choose one way or another. They're one. There's only one aspect to a malach. Whereas human beings are multi-dimensional, and our mind is what causes us to choose between our many different possible ways that we express ourselves. Which is why, again, all the malachim on the side of Michal, all Ava, all the malachim on the side of Gavriel, all Gvur, Yira, and they have no connection. But what do you mean? By us, we all have the capacity for Ava or Yira. And in that sense, we're greater than malachim. Now, my Ava compared to the Ava of a malach is nothing. But the Malach only has Ava. And I have Ava and Yira, and the Malach doesn't have that. That's because that's the complexity of a human being. And that comes from the Seichel, which allows us...
The other meter from the Korazor said,
but that's borrowed. But that's not really part of their nature. They borrow a little because they want to experience a little Avos Hashem. They borrow from a neighbor, but it's not part of who they are. It's not part of their identity. Weiter inside. 7 lines from the top. Sasson, how's it going? Good?
I have a question, but later.
Okay. Aval ba'il mabriya, but in the world of Bria, Me'ira sham chachmasei ubi binasei v'daiti shlein seif baruchu. In Elam Abriya is where Hashem's seichel is manifest. Shehein makar hamidus. We know the seichel, the intellect, is the makar of the midas. Ve'eim v'sheidish land. It is their mother and it is their source. Ukdeisa b'tikunim, and as it says in Tikunim, that Eima Ilah, the supernal mother, Mikanina nests Bitlas Sfiron together with the 3 spheres, Bikursaya in the seat. That's what it says in Tikkun Yizayar. Eimeilah, the supernal mother, Mikanina nests Bitlas Sfiron with its 3 spheres, Bikursaya in the seat. Shehu Elam Abriya, which is the world of Bria. The world of Bria is called the world of the Kisei.
World of the what?
The world of the Kisei. Kisei, a seat. It's the Kisei HaKavod. And that's why you realize if you have in the Merkava, so you have all the Chayes, and they are lifting up the Kisei. The Chayes are in which world?
Chayes is in the
world of Yetzirah. And above them is the Kisei HaKavod,
which is the Bria.
Which is the world of Bria. Above them. That's above them.
And what's the 3 spheres over there?
And by the way, above them is the Adam Sha'ala Kisei. That's the world of Atzilus, but that's a different story.
What does the 3 spheres represent?
The 3 spheres within Bria. In other words, within Bina. Chachma Shebebina and Bina Shebebina and Das Shebebina. Leave that. I'll get to that in 1 second. Okay. So, in general, sitting is associated with the world of Bria. So for example, I don't know if you ever. There are Sfardim and the Mukubalim, probably maybe you, when you put on tefillin, you put it on sitting or standing?
Stand.
Allah says you have to stand.
Head, standing, sitting, and yeah.
So Alpi Kabbalah, you sit by putting on the Shal Yad, even though it's not Minhag Chabad, but the Rebbe did it that way. And the reason why is because the tefillin Shal Yad is in the world of Bria, represents the world of Bria, and tefillin Shal Roish represents the world of Atzilus, and therefore, Alpi Kabbalah, that's the right way to do it. Another example that is Kriyishma and Tefillah. That Kriyishma is from the world of Bria. Davening is a ladder, and we start until Baruch Sha'amar is the world of Asiya, Psuki de Zimra is the world of Yitzira, Kriyishma is the world of Bria, and Shemona Esrei is the world of Atzilus, as we'll see also later on in this Perek. So that's why by Kriyishma we sit, because Kriyishma corresponds to the world of Bria, which is called Mimoish V'Seichem, that's also the Sfira So'emer, which corresponds to the world of Bria, and that's why we sit. And the reason why is because sitting is a hashpala. Sitting is when you is going down. So in the world of Atzilus, that's Hashem as He is. In the world of Bria, it's already the Kisei HaKavod. That's Hashem as He lowers Himself to relate to creations. And also, in Atzilus is the ultimate bittul. Standing represents bittul. Like Shemona Esrei, Ka'avda Kamei Mari, you're like a servant in front of his master. Whereas in Bria, there isn't the bittul and Atzilus, so therefore that's represented by sitting. So the Tikkun Ezer says that Bina, together with its 3 subsidiary spheres, another again, Chachma Shebebina, Bina Shebebina, and Das Shebebina, where are they dominant? In the world of Bria, in the seat, Bikursaya, the world of Bria. And by the way, if you look, you'll see over here, you're going to understand now some more things that we have over here. If you look in the world of Olam, so under Bria, we have Kursaya. Kursaya is the seat. Thank you very much. And if you look to the right, Bina is called Eima Ilah, it's called the supernal mother. Because Chachma is the father, and Kabbalah always, Chachma is the father and Bina is the mother. It's called Abba Ve'ima. And the reason why is because Chachma and Bina together, both of them, they give birth to the Midos. And the Chachma is the father, and the Bina is the mother, because the Bina is where it's the incubator where the Midos are developed, and that's why it's the mother. So You have the Hey is Bina, Ema which is in the world of Bria, which is the Kursaya. The Vav is the six Midas, which is Yitzira, and there you have the Chayes HaKodesh, Machna Mechal, Machna Gavriel. You're seeing a lot of the different elements that we spoke about being plugged into this chart. Let's go weiter inside. V'lchein, therefore, the first one line is Habria. 11 lines from the top. V'lchein, therefore, who mother, therefore Bria, because Bria is the world of intellect, the world of Bina, therefore, who mother, that is the dwelling place of Neshames HaTzadikim. The Neshames of the Tzadikim, Oivdei Hashem, who serve Hashem, B'dechilu u'rechimu, with fear and with love, Hanem Shachais, that come min Habina V'das, from the intelligence, from Bina and Das, the Gedulas Ein Sof Baruch Hu, when a person contemplates the greatness of Hashem, Sha'ahavazu Nikra Ru'usa Deliba. This Ava, which is a result of a person's meditation and contemplation, is called the Ru'usa Deliba on Kabbalah. Kabbalah, Ru'usa Deliba literally means the desire of the heart. Kiniskar Le'il, as mentioned earlier in chapter 17. Ru'usa Deliba, from this special love of Hashem, which started out in the mind. Nasa Levush L'Neshama, that creates a garment which allows the Neshama entry and allows it Ba'olam Habriya. Shehu Gan Eden Ha'elyon, which is Gan Eden Ha'elyon Kidl Kaman, as we'll learn later. Bria and Yitzira are Gan Eden Ha'elyon and Gan Eden Ha'tachton. You're familiar with these words. There's a higher level of Gan Eden, a lower level of Gan Eden. Gan Eden Ha'elyon is the world of Bria, Gan Eden Ha'tachton is the world of Yitzira. So those, who goes to Gan Eden Ha'tachton, who goes to Gan Eden Ha'elyon? Those people whose service of Hashem was with Kavana that came from Sichli, they go to the world of Bria, their Neshamas go to the world of Bria, which is Gan Eden Elyon. Kidla Kamano, Kamesha Kasu, Bezoyer Vayakil, as it says in Zoyer and Parshas Vayakil. And now, okay, so if you look over here on your chart, so we have the last column is Neshamas. So you'll see over here, in the world of Bria, what's in the world of Bria? So number one, Neshames HaTzadikim, the Neshames of those Tzadikim, Oivdei Hashem, who served Hashem b'dchilu, with fear, Yira, Rechimu, and love, Ava, Hanam Shachos min Bina Vadas, that come from Bina Vadas, their mother, their dwelling place is in the world of Bria. And then he says, now we're going to get a little complicated. Until now we're talking about Neshama. We know that everyone has a Nefesh, Ruach, and a Neshama. Neshama is mainly the person's intellectual faculties. Ruach is more the emotions, and Nefesh is more the functional faculties of the body. They derive from the Nefesh. The Neshamas of these Tzadikim, they go to Gan Eden Elyon Tibria. The Ruach of the Tzadikim, which means, because even those people who serve Hashem with an intellectual love, they also have a Ruach, and that Ruach serves Hashem with an instinctual, emotional love. Their Ruach is in the world of Yitzira, inside. When we say that the Neshamas go to the world of Bria, we're referring only to the Neshamas. Shehein b'chinas moichen de gadlus Ein Sof Baruch Hu. That's the intellect which understands the greatness of Hashem. Avol b'chinas haruach shel tzadikim, but the ruach of the tzadikim. V'chein, and also shar kol neshamas Yisrael, all the neshamas of the Yidden. Sha'avdu es Hashem b'dechilu u'rechimu ha'mutzutaris b'leiv klal Yisrael, who served Hashem with the natural love, the hidden love. So they are in the world of Yitzira.
So how the tzaddikim are in both worlds? The ruach is on Yitzira, and what's
so they
Yitzira.
Sorry, what?
The tzaddikim have both. They have the neshama and the ruach. How could they be in two places?
That's a great question, and that question would make sense if Bria and Yitzira were in different places.
Bria and Yitzira. Yeah, that would be the question. If they're in different places.
If they were in different places, that would make sense. But considering that they're not places, but they're levels, and considering that they're two different levels of the neshama, so the neshama could be on the level of Bria, and the ruach could be on the level of Yitzira. If you're thinking of them as spatial areas, then yes, then that cuts it. I'll tell you even more. Do you know where the nefesh is?
That's what runs the body.
The nefesh remains in the body, in the physical body.
But exactly
That's why we go to a kever, by the way. So does the nefesh separate from the ruach and the neshama? Again, that's if you're assuming that anything is spatial.
Well, he's dead, then the nefesh is not there.
Yeah, but you have a certain vision of a neshama flying out of the body.
Something like that, sure.
But the neshama is a spiritual; it's not physical.
But that runs the body. That's not.
It's not limited in any space.
But it was limited in the body, though.
It gave life to the body. Yes. Now it stopped giving life to the body. But
Where is it now?
the same place it always was, which is nowhere.
It's not space.
Oh, it's still there.
It's hard for us to imagine this. A spiritual concept doesn't exist in a certain space.
It's not space.
I have a question.
You can't take a rocket ship.
Yeah.
There.
And the neshama is never limited. Even the
It's
body's
very
not limited,
confusing.
right?
Because
Sorry,
The neshama is never limited. Even the body's
The
not
four
limited,
worlds have
right?
nothing.
I'm not sure what that means.
Space. It's not.
What?
I don't understand the question.
It's not
You
space.
understand
We'll
the
talk. We'll talk more soon. Okay.
All right.
that's why it's difficult
Yeah.
to understand.
But we have to divest ourselves of the normal frames of reference of how we view these kind of things. Yeah, the neshama is not limited by space. There's a where is
So when a
kindness?
person dies, what happens to the
Where is
neshama?
kindness?
Kindness?
Yeah.
Could you go there? Could you go to Cotton?
So if you decide to be kind, right? So you have kindness inside you. One day you decide you're not going to be kind anymore. So the kindness leaves you. Where does it go?
I don't know where it came from to begin with. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it came from. How would I know where
The
it
thing
went
is-
if I don't know where it came from?
Ruben's body calls much Hashem the kirby.
Right. I understand that, but that's a hakshamadika. That's a very to a certain extent, it's an immature way of understanding a spiritual concept. So, the neshama, when we say, where's Elam Habriya, where's Elam Yitzir, where's Elam Yitzir, they're here, there, and everywhere. Moshe Rabbeinu was standing in front of Pare, right? Moshe Rabbeinu was in Atzilus. Not that he's gonna when he dies. He's on the level of Atzilus, and he's standing in front of Pare, and Pare is Gimel Klippas Hatameis. So what? You have Atzilus and Gimel Klippas Hatameis in the same room? Yeah, he's on this level. A world is a level of connection to Hashem. The neshama reaches a level of bittul to Hashem, a connection to Hashem, which is on the level of Bria. The ruach doesn't reach that level of connection to Hashem. The ruach only reaches a level of connection and bittul to Hashem, which is on the level of Yitzirah. This is very different than the kind of stuff that we usually learn. It's a little more out there. And we'll continue, Mr. Hashem, this topic next week. Okay, so